Welcome to Be Free and Fit, the show that believes that principles applied through the process bring long-term sustainable progress. I'm Brianna Dawkins, and today's episode is all about the principle of building discipline. Now, everyone knows that discipline is the prerequisite to a healthy lifestyle. But what do you do when you're not sure where to start? What do you do when you're trying to live a disciplined life, but your efforts go not so far? To further figure this out, let's first start by making sure that we're all on the same page. Because when people get to start talking about, discipline and all that type of stuff, everybody has a different idea of what discipline looks like, as they should. But we'll get more into that a little bit later. So Webster Dictionary breaks it down like this. They say that discipline is control gained by enforcing obedience or order. They also describe it as an orderly prescribed conduct or pattern of behavior. To make this even easier to visualize, we're going to use the analogy that discipline is like a muscle. So let's just say that discipline is your bicep muscle, okay? It is the muscle that is for those of you who don't know what the bicep is, it is your upper part of your arm. So if you look down at your arm right now and you don't look at the forearm, but you look up, above your elbow, you're gonna be able to find your bicep there. So let's just say that discipline is your bicep muscle. And if you visualize that part of your bicep and you look down at it, when you're trying to build that muscle right there, that bicep muscle, when you're trying to build it and strengthen it and grow it, what do? You're going to do very challenging exercises that are specifically designed to build, strengthen, and grow that particular muscle. In the same way, if discipline is like a muscle, you have to establish a structured plan or routine to build, strengthen, and grow your discipline. The only way that discipline grows and gets stronger is if you exercise it. It's literally the only way. The way that you exercise discipline can vary from different stages of your life. For example, when I competed in a bikini bodybuilding show, when I was getting ready for that, it required me to work out 3 times a day at some points and eat 6 to 7 meals a day. And at one point, I even was eating 4 out of those 6 or 7 meals were fish and asparagus, literally straight up just fish and asparagus for 4 out of the 6, 7 meals. So when it comes to that type of discipline, that was a whole nother level than my life right now. You see, my life right now looks absolutely nothing like that discipline. My life right now is more I just have to make sure I eat something for breakfast, and the something that I eat just has to be supernatural. That's a good structure for me right now. And when it comes to working out, look, if I can get a workout in every day, it doesn't even have to be an hour or 2 hours. No, it can be 10 minutes. If I can get a 10-minute workout in, that is a win, okay? So you just have to be able to see that discipline looks different for everyone. And it even can look different for you depending on where you are in your life. So specifically, to you fit mommies out there, your entrepreneurs out there that have business babies, they're all the same. They take so much effort and energy. For any of you guys out there, if the responsibilities in your life have literally sucked up way more time than you could have ever imagined, I want to encourage you and let you know that there's still hope for you to have a disciplined, healthy lifestyle. You just have to be willing to switch it up a little bit, even if it's just for right now. The structure just has to be something that's more realistic for you, like for now. It doesn't have to stay there for long, but just long enough for you to build that discipline back up, because it may have taken a hit. Anytime that we don't use discipline, it doesn't get stronger. And so maybe you're in a time in your life where that area is a little bit weaker than normal because you've been so focused on everything else around you that needs your attention and time and effort too. So I just want to give you guys a little encouragement on our little journey of building discipline. So going back to our questions from above, what do you do when you don't know where to start? Well, first, I believe that when it comes to building discipline, you have to, number one, be willing to work for it. Like, there has to be a certain level of mindset that is already set on this is going to take work. And you have to fully be okay with that fact. Like, because it's going to take work. It's just like we said with the bicep and trying to build that muscle. When you're doing that, it takes effort. You can't go into saying you want to build your bicep muscle and not try. You can't go to a workout session and not pick up a dumbbell and then say, but I really just want to build my bicep. No, you can't. You can't just say that, because it's going to take a lot of effort to do so. You're going to really have to pick up that bicep, pick up that dumbbell. You're gonna have to move that bicep, and you're gonna have to get it working. And you have to be okay with whatever that means. Whatever that effort that's gonna have to go into building that, you have to be okay with that. So first, you have to start with that kind of mindset. Feelings aren't facts. Feelings are not facts. So you can feel like you don't want to do it, but you have to already be made up in your mind that you're going to. So before you even make a commitment to what that plan or that structure looks like, first have the mindset that you're ready to put in the effort that's required to build your discipline. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you have to remain mindful and aware in the process. Understand the costs that you are, about to get yourself into, okay? When it comes to wanting to build discipline, it requires you to remain mindful every single time that you are getting into anything. So for example, if you are saying that you need to not eat sugar anymore, that means that you have to be looking at every single label that has sugar in it. And you have to be aware of what you're putting in your body, because you committed to the idea that you're not going to put sugar in your body anymore. It's the same for a vegan or somebody that has set up the structure in their life that requires them to be super mindful. And every time that they are super mindful, it's building that discipline. Every time that they are being intentional, it's building that discipline. So the number three is going to be the being intentional in structuring what you're doing. So for example, I think of fast. If you're taking a fast or doing a fast, or giving something up for Lent, when you do those different things, it sets you in a position where it makes it easier for you to be more mindful, because you no longer can just eat something because it's there, but you have to be more aware of what you're eating, because it has to align with your order, the order that you set for yourself. So what is the order in your life? You have to know what is that? And you have to know what order do you need in your life, because the order I have in my life may look different than the order that you need in your life. So you have to fully know and be transparent with yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to be transparent with yourself. You have to understand yourself to know what you need. So that's number three, being super intentional. All right, guys. So what do you do if you're trying to be disciplined, but your efforts don't last? Now, what happens with this, I think that some people could be trying to do too much too quickly. So, like I said, with my little example of the bodybuilding show, my responsibilities have shifted tremendously since then. When I competed in that show, it was in 2016, and I was not a mom. I was married, or I still am married, but I was married, but I just didn't have like the amount of responsibilities that I have now to juggle. And my life just looks different from day to day than it did then. I had a lot more idle time. And so life just was a little bit different in terms of being able to fit that type of time in my schedule. And so if I ever tried to go right back to that, my discipline like efforts or my effort towards building that discipline that way wouldn't stick, because I can't, like, this current reality doesn't, like, that structure doesn't fit in my current reality. Like, it just doesn't. And so I just think that for some people that might be what's happening. It could be that you're trying to try a new set of ways to do this lifestyle, that may have worked for you in the past, but you're not taking into account the different responsibilities you may have now that were maybe not there then. So that's something to think about. But yeah, so for anyone who's trying to build structure in their life in terms of working out and they're not sure, where to begin with that, I want to give you like a little chart to kind of like go by. So if anybody out there is listening and you never exercised ever before in your life, or just haven't in like years or months or weeks, and you're trying to build that discipline again, one thing that you can do, this is level one. So level one people, if this is you, you can start by setting the goal to intentionally move 5 to 10 minutes per day. And this is literally just to build that discipline up. You can shift it to this level two whenever you feel free, but to start off, the idea is to be mindful again, like mindful that this is a desire that you want to fit back into your lifestyle and you want to be consistent in that. Yes, we'll get to more intense, workouts, and yes, we'll get into like more, goal driven exercises, but like the main thing, like at first, is to build that discipline, because everything else gets a little bit easier when you already have that built. So that's the first level. The second level is going to be if you are already like working out, but you're not consistent. Your goal should be or could be to move consistently each day for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Again, this goal is to build discipline. It's to set you up so that you are consistently putting effort towards that every day. And everybody can like find 15 to 20 minutes somewhere in their day. So if you're able to fit that in, it will help you build that discipline so that you can work that back into your schedule. Now, if you're on level 3, and that's going to be my people who are already exercising consistently and they're ready to like up their game, your goal could be to exercise every day for at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Now, the idea of like doing this is going to be like exercising can be walking, it can be jogging, it could be going to a workout class, it could be doing a YouTube video online. It can literally be whatever you like. But every time that you do it and you fulfill that commitment, it will build that discipline muscle every single time. Now, going back to like foods and having the discipline to really kind of like build out that in your life, you can put yourself on a fast where you say, I'm not going to eat sweets for, I'll just share with you my discipline builder right now. I'm not doing no sweets and no alcohol for 6 months. So I'm on that journey right now, actually. I started in January. And yeah, I mean, I might get to the 6th month and say, I want to do this another 6 months. I don't know, but it's helpful to me because it's helping me be more mindful of what in the past, like year and a half to 2 years, I was extremely like emotional in my eating. I think I shared that last episode, but yeah, this helps me a lot. It helps me be more mindful of when I'm being controlled by those emotions and what emotions and feelings even drive me to the pantry. And so I think that you setting certain parameters or boundaries around what foods you can or can't eat it can be super healthy and super empowering to you because it helps you become even more aware of you and yourself and what you do naturally, just to cope. So that's something that you can take into account as well. At the end of this episode, I'll also share that I want us to try to do a challenge together. I'm going to put it on the Instagram, and I'll share the Instagram information at the end of the episode. But I want us to do like a 21-day type setup where we're committing to something that's going to help us intentionally build discipline. So the idea here will be for us to consciously make a commitment to a certain thing, whether it be workout wise and you choosing one of those levels, or it be food wise and you choosing a certain category or a certain type of food that you know that may control you, or you may go to when you really like want to be comforted, even if it's not healthy or good for your goals. Like sometimes food just isn't good for our goals, and so that's something that you can join in as well. So lastly, let me just go through these last couple things and then we'll get into that challenge again. So in setting a plan, it's extremely important that you are able to like go back to the idea of discipline being a muscle. You can't strengthen a muscle without a plan. So you just have to make sure that that plan is something that will challenge you. And as you evolve in your journey, you have to continue to shift and change that plan again, because, you know, what they say, they always be saying like, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. I don't know who it is that says that, but like, I think everybody kind of knows that slogan. So it's really real though. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So just keep that in mind. Okay. All right. So lastly, I know I already said lastly once, but this is really lastly, be aware, be aware of when your discipline is weakening. Look for those signs, and you should start paying attention even if you're not sure yet. I know for me personally, when my discipline is not as strong as it usually is, or as strong as it is when I am being consistent in my efforts, I'll start wanting candy. I'll start, mindlessly eating snacks just because they're there. Those are all like indicators or like red flags for me to like remind myself that, girl, you need to put a plan in place, because you need to get back into that intentionally putting effort towards building this discipline back up. So that's something that you can consider doing when you're on this journey. So thank you so much for tuning in. This was fun. All right, guys. So back to that challenge. I don't want you to forget to subscribe to Be Free and Fit podcast for more content on helping you get all of the tips and tools that you need to mentally prepare yourself as you're on this journey. The whole mission of this podcast is to literally restore your perspective so that you're able to continue to strive forward in your efforts. It's also for us to just renew our minds and get back on track again on being excited to go after our goals. And then the last reason why this podcast is here in in front of you today is because we are trying to just encourage the hearts of people, women specifically, moms specifically, entrepreneurs specifically, because I know for a fact, as one of all of those things, you have a lot of responsibilities, and you can't not be one of them, and you can't not be one of the people that are just as important, if not more, than all of the responsibilities that you have. You're only as strong as your healthiest self. And I think that if we can all become the healthiest, best versions of ourselves, then we can go after all of our responsibilities with so much more, endurance. So that's the importance of this podcast and why it's even here. So I want us to join this challenge together. The challenge is going to be building disciplines, like the discipline challenge. You'll see it on Instagram or something. I don't even know what it's going to be called yet, but it's going to be around the idea of building your discipline in 21 days to building that. So it's going to be flexible in you being able to choose what you're going to use to build that discipline, but the whole idea is to get you back in the mindset of doing so. So I'll figure out a way to kind of like get that going, but you'll see more about it on Instagram for sure. All right, guys. So thank you so much for coming here and listening to what we talked about today. If you want to read up on more information about today's topic, you can find that on the blog at befreeandfit.com. Or you can also follow us on Instagram at befreeandfit podcast. Again, that is Be Free and Fit podcast. Until next time, I need you to promise me one thing. Please promise me you will not give up.